Author, humorist, PBS star, and Fortune 500 trainer Loretta LaRoche has released her fifth book, titled Kick Up Your Heels Before You're Too Short to Wear Them. Loretta shared an excerpt from one of her favorite chapters about juicy words from her home in Plymouth.
This is Chapter 5 from Kick Up Your Heels Before You're Too Short to Wear Them. And that's how to live a long, healthy, juicy life. That's the subtitle. And the chapter title is Soul Talk. You can suck the living hell out of the day-to-day by the descriptions you use to discuss or even to just think about people, places, events, and yourself. Or you can live as if your cup were half full. How cognizant you are of what you say is directly correlated to the outcome you'll get. If you continually speak of your life in terms that describe it as if you never feel good, things just never turn out right, or nothing positive comes your way, you'll more than likely end up being right. And most of us would rather be right than happy. It takes less energy to feel good than it does to feel bad. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that it takes courage to be happy. My great-grandmother Conchetta suffered many indignities and tragedies throughout her life, yet not a day went by without her announcing that she felt blessed with abundanza, which is abundance. You can choose to take all your experiences and channel them into a reality show based on fear and anxiety, or you can think of all difficulties as opportunities for creating something new. Negativity is like a big black hole with slippery sides. Once you fall in, it takes a lot of effort to crawl back up. There are also many people who like the security of the darkness. So if you're down there, you'll have lots of company, like a mole. However, when you decide to come back into the light, they won't help you because they're stuck in the quagmire of goo at the bottom and they want you there with them. When you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. It takes vigilance to be the guardian of thoughts, words, and deeds, and you're often at the mercy of years of conditioning that make you operate as if you were on autopilot. The Buddhists say that all suffering of mankind is produced by attachment to a previous condition of existence. When you use language such as, if only, I wish, or I can't, you're dismissing the possibility of today in order to maintain the familiarity of the past or to assuage a fear of the future. You may think it's easier to stay in an unhappy relationship or job or maintain habits that don't serve you, but ultimately you'll suffer the consequences. In order to be happy, upbeat, and successful, you need to become an actor or actress who has been given a juicy script. Become the character as you read the uplifting lines. For a while, you might not believe the things you say, or you might feel uncomfortable talking about the positive and reassuring aspects of life, because the negative side is safe and strangely comforting. But the more you practice and get into the skin of your character, the words will flow more naturally until they eventually become the way you speak and feel. You'll also need to surround yourself with a supporting cast that helps you remember your new lines. For the most part, people are afraid to disqualify gloomy dialogues and don't do it because they sense that the majority wants to have their negativity validated. But a really good friendship allows for honesty, not the kind that's hurtful or self-serving, but the straightforwardness that offers empathic advice from a loving place. I don't want everyone around me to agree with everything I do or say, and neither should you. You need to be called on your crazy stuff. Otherwise, it will start to take on a life of its own and there won't be any room for anyone else. Let me give you a small example about capabilities, dreams, and desires and how they're reduced. How many times have you told someone that your memory is shot? First of all, if it's shot, then you don't have a whole lot of options. You've created a serious metaphor. I'm very visual, so I see a big hole in your head where your memory used to be. How do you repair it? Are you a surgeon? I guess you have to try to work around what's left, and that doesn't feel very promising. The facts are that memory can be compromised by stress, illness, medications, fatigue, and age. But in every instance, unless there has been a severe damage to the brain, it can repair itself by creating new pathways. Your mind is able to store millions of bits of information, and like a computer that isn't being used, it will often place some data into long-term storage. It's like riding a bike. When you practice using it, you become more proficient at it. So here's what you want to say when you can't have instant recall. My memory is taking a quick nap, but it'll be back really soon. It's also a good idea to check in with someone who knows you well, whom you can trust, a sort of thought detective, when you say things that may not serve your best interests. An individual who's near and dear to you, who will know if your memory is going. So ask him or her to conduct a full investigation. Here are some common statements that keep you limited, withered, and stuck in a big black hole. And I call them ways to wither. I always get the slow line. Well, I guess you're destined to grow old in the line. It's going to be a long day. I thought most days contain the same amount of time. I only have 2 hands. Isn't that interesting? You never listen to me. Well, why should I? I'm only one person. Funny, I could have sworn you were a twin. I'm the only one who gets anything done around here. Maybe that's because you never trust anyone else enough to ask for help, and if you did, you wouldn't accept how they did it anyway. I'm getting sick over this. Well, good for you. Now maybe you'll get a rest. My life is a mess. Well, maybe you should clean it up. I wish they'd treat me better. I wish they would too, but they won't until you do first. Here are some statements that reek of personal empowerment, strength, and fun, which is the total opposite of what we just heard. Today, I remembered everything that I needed to know. When I think that my life is a mess, I buy a new broom and I go right to work. Everyone I meet treats me the way I treat myself, so I better treat myself well. I ask for help when I need it instead of acting helpless. People listen to me because I have something to say. My mental, physical, and spiritual health is my responsibility. It's also a good idea to become aware of how often you use withered words that make life seem arid and devoid of succulence. The following are some examples that need to be extricated from your vocabulary because you could be at risk for dehydration. Shriveled, pruny, miserable, hopeless, pathetic, awful, gnarled, nasty, pitiful, senile, horrible, wrinkled, cranky, wasted, decrepit, stupid, and dumb. Now here are some luscious words that could make your life spurt. Exuberant, flourishing, flaunt, flossy, juicy, moist, succulent, dewy, amazing, brilliant, charismatic, magnificent, divine, delicious, alluring, ardent, astronomical, decadent, delightful, dazzling, desirable, hearty, fortunate, flamboyant, flouncing, endearing, vibrating, sumptuous, and remarkable. Try describing yourself, your day, week, or life with some of these juicy words. In phrases like this: I awake each morning feeling moist with life, and I create a magnificent day filled with divine people and amazing activities. I delight everyone who knows me with my brilliance and good fortune. My body and mind are juicy and delicious. I am filled with exuberance. My life is a dazzling array of remarkable happenings. My brain is flourishing with succulent thoughts. I realize that what I'm advocating isn't a simple shift from ordinary language to a little over the top. I'm recommending way over the top because that might get you to the center. Why not give it a try? It's definitely not easy since you're accustomed to using a predictable vocabulary in everyday life, which relies on the familiar, safe thoughts. But that doesn't create new and exciting outcomes. It just generates the same old results. Trust me, this isn't merely an exercise to make you appear foolish or outrageous. Instead, it will not only beef up your emotional responses, but will increase your brain power. As you age, continually challenge and engage yourself in a new way of being. Remember that you're a veritable storehouse of thoughts running 24 hours a day. You have the choice to use them or lose them. Isn't that marvelous?
To read more about Loretta and her new book, read Tuesday's Patriot Ledger.